Pick n Pay was founded in the Western Cape by Raymond Ackerman. In fact, Chris just reminded me he bought the first Pick n Pay and then built it into what it is today. It is a turnaround mode. It is under turnaround mode with CEO Richard Brasher. It is a market cap of 27.3 billion rand, a PE ratio of 30 and a dividend yield of 2.2%. So as we said there, it's been in turnaround mode for the better part of half a decade.
Yeah.
Big issues with distribution centres. You felt like you'd go to a Pick n Pay looking for something specific and they wouldn't have it. There would be a shelf for it, but it just wouldn't be there. And that's obviously very frustrating for retailers. But Richard Brasher's done a great job.
Yeah, Brasher is, he's one of a kind. He was brought in from the UK where he ran Tesco UK. And again, it's difficult to fault the man. So what he's done, he's brought Pick n Pay back to basics, because I think they'd lost their way a bit. And so they're now doing the kind of things that they should have been doing 10, 12, 15 years ago. But having said that, you're now in an intensely competitive space. Interestingly enough, I did mention a few moments ago that they have been taking market share away from ShopRite, and that hasn't happened in a long time, so full marks to them for that. And until very recently, all they were doing was they were losing market share slower than they had been before. So they're getting back on track, and I just feel that it's going to be such a long-term prospect given all of the negative dynamics out there. And what really bothers me about Pick n Pay is the extremely high rating in which it's currently at. So at a 30 times PE, you have to be growing at somewhere between 25 and 30% a year for the next however many years, the foreseeable future. And I don't see them doing it, frankly, not in this kind of market.
So what you're saying is it's priced for the turnaround.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of downside risk because, it seems to be turning around and they were coming off a low base because they really missed the boat. But if, they hit some kind of speed bump, then we're going to see a potential share price collapse.
Absolutely.
And in tough conditions.
Yeah. And they're appealing to the broad middle class out there in South Africa. And that, I think, is probably going to be under the most strain of all of the demographics. With the Eskom price increases, the weaker rand, I think it's going to conspire to make the Pick n Pay customer particularly vulnerable.
So in terms of their sort of turnaround story, people love rewards. They love to feel like they're getting something back. They've done really well with their rewards program. Where to next? Do they have any expansion plans throughout the continent? Anything, going on in developed markets like Woolies do, like Spar do? Nothing of that kind of.
No, but to be fair to them, where they have gone in Africa, I mean, they're not nearly as well represented as the likes of ShopRite and a Massmart, for example. But where they have gone, they've gone in very intelligently. And if they see that they're not going to make it in a certain jurisdiction, they come out pretty quickly. So, I mean, they've been in Zimbabwe for a long, long time.
They did have a bit of a issue in Australia where they had to sell out, and that didn't work too well.
They were in Australia in the 1980s. They had to get out because of the apartheid connection. And they went back in again. That was an ill-fated expedition back into Australia. They came back with the tail between their legs, lost a lot of money. And I think they've learned a lesson. Do not go into developed markets. It's really far too competitive in this type of low margin business.
Well, let's have a look at the share price there. So it's been pretty bouncy. Are you going to be hot or not, taking advantage of that big dip in the share price?
I think I have to be the ultimate contrarian indicator with Pick n Pay. I've been saying this thing is too expensive for a long time and no one seems to listen. They keep on buying this thing. So I'm sticking with that. I think it's too expensive. I'm not hot on it.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think too much pressure from shareholders there.